Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Where We Stand, where we join Georgia and Florida Republicans in our 6-part mini-series. Today, we're exploring education. So we're joined, of course, by our candidates, Megan Roca and Anthony Lindo, and our moderators today are our fundraising managers from both states. So we have Akshay Tirupati from Georgia and Brooke Staples from Florida. We're pleased to have you guys, so just take it away.
Let's start with some icebreakers. Would you prefer handwriting notes or typing notes?
I would have to say handwriting notes. I'm much more comfortable with writing my notes than typing.
See, I would have to formally disagree with that. Typing notes is much better for me as I'm able to type faster than I write, so I'm able to encase more notes into my brain than actually writing.
Okay, candidates, great answer. So, do you prefer virtual or in-person school?
Definitely in person. I don't work that well virtually.
Definitely in person for me also, and we need to work to put our kids back into schools immediately.
Okay, let's get started with the actual questions. Do you support public universities becoming cheaper to avoid greater student debt in the future? And do you support the idea of federal funding?
I definitely support public universities becoming cheaper so students don't have to worry about loan debts. The amount of debt that a student has to pay to support their education is a major burden in our economy, and we should be limiting student loans and taking steps such as debt forgiveness on students. In regards to your second question, I believe that we should direct federal funding towards programs in education, such as work-based learning programs and career and technical schools.
Yeah. For me, I also want public universities to become cheaper because student debt is the main reason why students are so against. Some students are against going to college, and because of this puts them in dire situations. And because of this, a student should not have to worry about debt while receiving an education in the United States. And in regards to federal funding, this question is a little bit complicated because while I do believe that the government's role in the United States should be supporting the states, I do not believe that they should use this opportunity for funding to set mandates and categorical grants. And if I support the idea of federal funding as long as it's only federal funding, but if we're talking about the government giving out mandates for that funding, then I disregard that immediately.
Okay, I'm sure many members of our audience and voters will agree with you guys and your opinions. So we're going to move on to the second question now. How do you think you will be able to specifically cater to underprivileged and special needs students?
I intend to implement quality legislation to ensure that all students, regardless of disabilities or socioeconomic status, can receive the proper education they deserve. In regards to Title I in Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, I intend to direct federal funding to follow those students to any school that their family wants them to go to, regardless of zip code or addresses.
Yeah, in regards for students who are underprivileged, I think the system needs to be able to support these families in order to make sure they're out of this underprivileged position, because along with schools being very, very expensive, it is also almost inaccessible for underprivileged children. So by fixing the tax system currently in the United States, this can greatly cater to underprivileged children. In regards to special needs students, I believe there needs to be more programs specific to states in regards to special needs. For example, a program that caters specifically for autism and education should be in a certain community versus those who have a neuro defect. So basis on that, I would rather go for a more community-based catering system for programs rather than just one giant program for each district.
Okay, those are great answers. For our last question for today, why do you believe students deserve choices in the area of education, such as school and location or access to technology?
By allowing our local governments and state governments to place limits on school choices because of a family's zip code, we're preventing our children from gaining the proper education they need. We have to allow parents to become more involved with their children's academic success, and this is through allowing families to choose what school their child should go to. In regards to technology, especially now, it's become a necessity for education, and therefore we should implement legislation to provide technology to all schools and all students.
Yeah, students need education to the highest degree, and representatives should do everything in their power to make sure that students deserve the right education. And if that includes a student choosing a different school, then I greatly support that. Student choice is very necessary because one student could feel like a school is not great for them. And if they are able to easily switch schools, then its education should be top-notch. And in regards to technology, especially as we're evolving into a more technological age, and also because of COVID-19, schools need access to technology in order for students to have a substantial education. And when we put kids back in schools, it is also necessary for technology to be in the schools because of the fact that we are evolving in a technological age.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in for our third episode today regarding education on our 6-part mini-series Where We Stand with our Georgia and Florida Republican candidates. And thank you very much to our fundraising managers for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed these last 3 segments, and be sure to tune in for our next 3 where we discuss economic policy and the environment and kind of wrap up our whole series. Thank you.